Hi everyone. Thanks for joining me today on this episode of 20 somethings. I'm Tico,
And I'm Jevene.
and we're just a couple of 20 somethings who have never been married but still feel qualified to talk about it. Like, we've never walked down the aisle, but we have attended enough weddings and seen enough rom-coms to form very strong opinions about the subject. But before we dive in, just a quick disclaimer. This episode is not brought to you by the Wedding Industrial Complex. We are not licensed marriage counselors, officiants, or experts in lifelong commitments. So if you take marriage advice from us today and end up divorced in 6 months, that's on you, bestie. So proceed with caution, preferably with a prenup. So
I
let's talk.
agree.
Exactly. So let's talk about it. Marriage.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Javine, have you wanted to get married at any point?
When I was younger, it was a definite no-no for me.
To
All right, so
get
it
married?
was a stage, yeah. So
Mhm.
when you're little, you want married, you want house, you want kids.
Yes.
That's when you're a little girl or a little
Hmm.
boy.
Right.
But then as I grew up, I'm like, nah. People would ask me, "Do you want to get married?" I'm like, nope. But
Hmm.
then a next stage came, and I'm like, I kind of do want to get married.
Wait,
I
what
do.
age was that? Because as you mentioned, when we were kids, a lot of us thought we'd be married by what, like 25? Like, did you think you'd be married by now?
Um, no, no,
Really?
I
Because
didn't. I
I
didn't
feel
think about it at all.
it's so funny because like by 25, I thought I'd have a spouse, a mortgage, and at least one kid in like matching family pajamas for Christmas. Like that was the vision.
Yeah,
And now I'm
yeah.
like 28 and I'm just like, shit.
No, not 25. I remember when I was 23, it was a no-no for me. I can't remember exactly just what it was like at 25, but no, I'm 28 as well.
Hmm.
And yeah, I do want to find that person. Like, me just, I think I want that kind of relationship.
Of course. I mean, it's nice to visualize and it's nice to fantasize. But I'm
Yeah.
curious, like, what does your ideal husband look like? Like, if you had to like describe him, like build a bear, like let's do that. Like, how would you articulate your ideal man? And we don't have to be realistic. We can fantasize about it. If you want him to have like a big 10-inch dick, like that's up to you.
All right, so my ideal man. So first
Mhm.
of all, it can't be somebody where take life too serious. Has
Right,
to be somebody that has a good sense of humor.
right.
Because if you know me, you know, say sometimes me a idiot. You understand? Like I want somebody that can relate to me,
Hmm.
understands me, can run a joke and don't take
Yes.
it too serious. Somebody that who is of course financially stable, somebody who basically care about me a lot,
Hmm.
where nothing is too important for
Right,
me.
right.
Somebody who will be there for me no
Hmm.
matter what. Because you find that in relationships, though not necessarily married, but relationships overall, you have
Correct.
to understand that you didn't grow up knowing this person. There
Hmm.
are gonna be flaws in everybody we meet. Everybody has flaws, but it doesn't mean that it can't be a case where you can't look past certain things to accept that person. So you have to be able to accept who I am. Just to name a few. Yes, him have to. Looks is not everything for me, but I have to be able to like look at you. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
Of
not feel
course.
ashamed to bring you around people. That's
Or
something. And
embarrassed.
or embarrassed to bring your own people. That's something as well. But yes,
Right, but not somebody
somebody
who's
we're
like
going
so absorbd in themselves that they're like a narcissist or something, but just someone who's like
not
attractive.
gonna work. Yeah, I've been there, done that. No, that
I
does not
know.
work.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, basically,
yeah, and I agree with most, if not all of that, because for me personally, I want to start off by saying like I'm someone who craves connection. Like I yearn for
yeah,
closeness,
yes.
and the right person for me, I know they will too. I know that
Mm-hmm.
they will want intimacy above everything else. Someone I feel I can talk to about everything and share
Yes.
anything with. Like, I want a relationship that feels like a safe space where we can be
Yes.
vulnerable and honest and authentically ourselves without fear we'll be judged or misunderstood. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the vibe for me. And so, I'm curious, like in your head, what distinguishes between a boyfriend and a husband? What's the
Oh,
difference?
all right. So
Hmm.
that's a good question. That's a kind of tricky one. So before before you reach a husband stage,
Yeah,
you have to be a boyfriend first, right?
naturally.
Not yeah, you have to be a boyfriend. But I think the main difference is basically where you see yourself in the future. So you might have a boyfriend where for him is just going along for the ride. A
Right.
husband now, he knows what he wants.
Hmm.
When he's making plans, he includes you in his plans,
I love that.
right?
Yes, I agree. Like for me,
Mm-hmm.
I love when someone
Mm-hmm.
is like we. Like when we're talking, it's like we're going
We,
to do this, not just me or
we,
you, we, us, a unit. I love that.
a
Continue.
unit. So yeah, basically that's the difference between well for me the difference between or one difference between a boyfriend and a husband. A boyfriend most of the time they're just going along for the ride. We're just having
Mm.
a good time. But
Right,
somebody that wants a wife makes it clear to you that they're looking for that kind of connection between you and them, and they include you in their future plans and everything.
right,
Because that for them, I just you them seeing in a them future. You
right,
them say I build a house with, that you them say I build a business with. That's somebody you'd want to turn into your husband or your wife.
right. Have you ever had like a partner who you're interacting with them and you're just like, damn, I want to marry him. Like this is my future husband, my future baby daddy.
Oh,
Like have you ever like had that encounter? Because for me, like I don't know what it's probably mental illness, but if I have a boyfriend, it's like, you know what, I'm gonna marry you. Like as soon as we meet, like on our first date, it's like
mhm.
I'm not fucking around with you. I want my eggs cracked, meaning I want a child. I want my name dropped, meaning I want to get married. Like that's me on the first date. And of course, some people like run away and get scared naturally. But some
Yes, Nico.
some guys will like tell you exactly what you want to hear just so them can like sleep with you or get what they want.
Mhm.
And then 2, 3 months down the line, you're like, okay, where's the ring? And they're like, about that. And I'm just like, listen, I don't have time for this. I have to go. You know what I mean? Like, I need to find my husband.
Yeah, yeah.
So
On to
for
the
you
next
now,
one.
have you ever had like someone in your dating experience who you're like, all right, this is the person I see myself with forever and ever till death do us part?
You know, for a time, yes,
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this person, I was talking to this person for quite a while,
Right.
and I remember when we just met.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to my sister, and she was saying, maybe this person could be a husband. Like we did just meet. We're probably not even we weren't even that think about relationship at the
Right.
time.
Just
And
casually
my,
talking.
my sister said that. So, she
Mm-hmm.
kind of put that in the universe. So after my sister, the relationship kind of passed a certain level, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh my gosh.
He's the
Could,
one.
could
Hashtag.
like, oh my, like, she really manifest this, like this really I got because it, for a moment, it was that serious. So
Mhm.
yes, that has happened to me, but
I love that.
unfortunately, no.
Oh, so he didn't want to put a ring on it, is what I'm hearing. What is his name and social
Yeah.
security number? Let me hunt him down and be like, excuse me, sir.
That went totally upside down.
Oh,
It went upside down.
I'm sorry
But
to
yeah,
hear
that
that.
didn't work out. Sorry, no, I'm not
It's for the
sorry.
best. Like
It's
it's like good riddance.
for the best.
It's just so funny though, because it's like the closer we get to 30, the only rings we own are mood rings, and the only thing we're committing to right now is like a subscription to Hulu or Disney Plus.
Oh my god.
Right? But it's crazy how marriage was always presented as like the inevitable milestone, like graduate school, get a job,
Uh-huh.
get
Uh-huh.
married, pop out
Have
kids,
kids.
die. And I'm like, why? Why is this? Like, maybe we can blame it on like Disney, like those like
The
princess
movies,
movies.
what you see in the movies for real.
Exactly. Or that one auntie who's asking, like, so when you go find a husband, we always have that one auntie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like,
And
but
after you have the husband when you have the baby.
Exactly, exactly. And it's like, why are they always so invested in our personal life? Like, you know what I mean? You always have that one family member who's always like grilling you. But
Hmm.
real talk, why is there this expectation that we should have rings on our fingers before we even figure out how taxes work? Like, why did we all grow up thinking we'd be married by now, like at this age? Like, talk about fucked up priorities. First comes love, then comes
Hmm.
marriage, then comes crippling debt from the wedding and the mortgage. Like, what are your
You know,
thoughts?
people don't think about that part of it.
Hmm,
A lot of people go into it not knowing or not looking at the other side.
right.
So they just see the glitz, the glams, the the fairy
The
tale of it,
fantasy, correct. And you
uh,
know, something I've realized people seem to put more emphasis on the wedding than the
the wedding.
marriage. You know,
Thank you
it's
very
like,
much. That's
yeah,
something that I've said. You put
yeah,
so much emphasis in the ceremony and not the actual meaning of marriage.
thank
Why
you.
why you have to ask yourself, why
Exactly.
are we
Why is
getting
that?
married?
I feel like it's
Why
just,
are we getting married?
yeah, sometimes it kind of feels like people are doing it just to say they did it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And even in terms of like the wedding, it's always like this big show, this big spectacle. And it's like, who are you doing this for? You know?
Yeah.
Who are
And
you
when
doing
that
this?
happens, that is what leads to more divorce because you find out that this person wasn't the right person for you or
Hmm.
this was not what you actually wanted. So
Right.
then the divorce comes in.
That's true. But I
Hmm.
feel like culturally speaking, a lot of it I think comes from the idea that marriage is like the ultimate marker of adulthood. Like, sure, you can
Hmm.
get a degree, you can buy a car, you can start a career, but until you're married, some people don't consider you settled. Do you know what I mean?
That's true.
But
That's true.
do you feel
And
like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it creates a certain like status. For
Hmm.
example, when you go certain places, if they ask if you're married or you're single, people judge you based off that.
It's true. And also like you get certain privileges and benefits if you happen to be married. Like for instance, if you are like hospital visit, something like that. Like if your spouse is in the hospital and you're just like a casual boyfriend or a girlfriend, it's not like you can just like visit unannounced. But if you say, "Oh, my husband," "Oh, my
Hmm.
wife," like you get certain privileges. Um, and even things like taxes, like it comes with
Yeah.
a benefit as well. So there is like an incentive for people to get married. And I guess like even if you commit a crime, God forbid, like
Hmm.
murder or something, like you don't have to testify against your spouse if you're called into court, which I guess is a blessing if you're responsible for murder.
Oh, I just learned that by the way. I didn't know.
Right? So keep that at the back of your mind for future reference. But
I will.
would you say you feel settled right now in your life? Like are you one of those people who feel like, okay, I have to be married in order to like check off this mark?
No, it's not that. Oh, I have to. Let me tell you. You see,
Hmm.
when people say and do things like that, you
Hmm.
bring a lot of stress and
Yes.
pressure to
The
yourself.
expectation, that's so
Yes,
correct.
because when that expectation is not met,
You
you
get
know, you
depressed.
feel like, Lord Jesus, I know
I know.
that is when you're not going to find the person because you're
Hmm.
going to take up and take up until you take up shit. You
Crosses.
understand? You're
It's
going to
true.
just it no. So I'm not that person to be like, oh, I have to get married. For me, I just feel like I need that companion. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Right. And I'm so glad you mentioned the pressure because it is a lot of pressure from
It
family,
is.
from
Mhm.
society, even yourself, because we
Mhm.
put pressures on ourselves. And you hit well, some of us, we hit our mid-20s and suddenly we see everybody around us is engaged or married, and we're sitting there like, wait,
Or just in a strong relationship and
exactly. And you're just like, hello, what about me? Was I not like worthy of like love as well?
yeah, yeah.
And it's just funny because historically marriage wasn't even about love. Like, fuck romance. Once upon a time, marriage was about power, money, and making sure
Yep,
women in
yep.
particular stayed in their place. Like, in a lot of cultures,
Uh-huh.
marriages were about like alliances between families. Like, here's my daughter in exchange for a few goats and a strong
That's true.
political
That is
bond.
so true.
You know what I mean? And
That,
so it was positioned as this ultimate goal, but it was less about love and more about security. Just making sure your family's goats and cows went to the right people. And back in the day, if you didn't get married by a certain point and you considered yourself strong and independent, you were called like a witch or like a spinster.
Uh-huh.
You were just this woman in a long sad dress baking bread, looking out the window, just waiting for death.
Because how
Um,
dare you?
how dare you not want to be someone's property? Like,
Exactly.
it's sad. But just this idea of getting married, you're essentially someone's property, like that never sat well with me. Like there was a point where, in the court system, for
Uh-huh.
example, a man couldn't rape his wife. You know what I mean? Like that,
Yeah,
that's
that
weird.
ooh,
What?
that's a heavy topic because
Mm.
that is sub it's subjective to what you think. Like
No, I mean,
if you defining the word itself,
mhm.
I don't see how they could say that just by defining what the word means.
What, rape?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, non-consensual sex, obviously, but I mean,
Hmm.
just because this person is your partner doesn't mean that, you're entitled to their body all the time. You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
Exactly. So
But
to me, it's
how,
considered rape,
right.
right?
But how do you
Mhm.
feel about this whole wives that should submit to their husbands thing? Like, what do you feel about submission in general?
All right. So let me first say that the topic submission,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just being loosely used
Okay.
nowadays. Submitting to your partner basically means that, all right, so this person, yes, is the dominant one in the relationship. This
Right.
person is one that you should be able to look to, should
Mm-hmm.
be able to make decisions wisely. It's
Right.
not that you're not going to have a say in the decisions, but they're supposed to be able to basically take charge,
Mm-hmm.
not in a way where the person is abusive
Right.
or they don't listen to you or take advice from you or anything.
Right.
But I think I'm gonna be that kind of person when I find my husband.
Mm-hmm. Or
Yeah, I like
manifesting
I
or
like
speaking it into being.
yeah, I like a man that basically takes charge,
Mm-hmm.
knows how to make decisions and does it well.
I agree. Someone you can trust and rely on and
I can
depend on
trust.
to not
Mm-hmm.
lead you astray or to take advantage of you, but they're just so
Mm-hmm.
secure in themselves
Mm-hmm.
and their
And
ability.
confident.
Yes, that big dick energy where it's just like, you know what I mean? It's just like when you see it, you know it. And it's attractive. It really is attractive.
It
And
is, it is, it is.
people
It's
do
sexy.
so hot. It's so hot. But just this idea of like you being submissive and not having choice or agency, I feel like that is like a misconception.
It is a misconception.
Yeah. And I don't like the way people have these types of conversations about dominant submissive because it's not real. It's not the reality because
Mm-hmm.
in some contexts and situations, you who perhaps identify as submissive can be dominant in a different position, like at work.
Mm-hmm.
But when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to like the bedroom, for example, you're submissive and vice versa, so
Yes.
people aren't submissive all the time. People aren't dominant all the time. But in the context of marriage, like it just came from this belief, the idea of submission, that a woman's job was to serve her husband and pop up some
Yeah.
kids until she
Yep.
died. And I don't know if I agree with that because me personally, I struggle to submit to a work schedule, let alone
Ah,
a whole husband. You know what I mean? Like
can I tell you?
I don't know. Like I just don't like the idea of being controlled. Like because then I'm going to like
Yeah, you have to be careful with that because you will trigger something in me. Like,
for real, like
don't do that.
I will spitefully like not do what you ask me to do. Like
Yeah,
I'll
rebel.
or I might do it, but I'll sabotage. Like I'll like I don't know.
Hmm.
And it's not fair. But
It's
what
not.
about you? Would you consider yourself a naturally submissive woman or is it something that's learned? Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't say naturally
Mm,
because basically my personality is not that kind of person. But I feel like
right.
if I have a man that, some men, how would I put this now? Them basically know how to
Mm-hmm.
how to deal with you.
I know exactly what you mean
how to
because
deal with you, how to be. Say no, you and your girl they might um
my boy.
feisty and loud. No, I mean like
No,
you,
right,
you
right, right.
friends.
Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm. Feisty loud and you're rough with them, but I mean as soon as in presence come around, you're just
Mm.
like,
You
you
calm down a
know,
little bit and you're kind of
yeah,
like meek.
yeah,
Not meek. I don't want to say meek, but it's just like you feel soft and dainty and delicate.
yeah, around him.
I know. And
So not
it's
everybody can bring that out though.
I
You
agree.
know
Like
that, right?
100%. I was literally about
Mm-hmm.
to say like Jill Scott, like she was doing this interview once where she said, "If you can tell me what to do, you can tell me what to do. But if you
Yeah.
can't tell me what to do, you can't
Can't
tell me
tell
what
me
to
what to
do."
do.
And I felt that.
Exactly.
I felt that because for me, I've definitely felt like some men try to perform dominance, like they're not naturally dominant, but they want to make you
Mm-mm.
feel as if they are that. And it's like you can smell it. You can smell when it's not authentic.
And
And
that's when I'm gonna rebel.
thank you. Or for me, I will just like be like, bitch, who the fuck you think you're talking to? And then I will try to like take over control. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's nice to have like a real man, quote unquote, whatever that means, like put you in your place. But it's
Yeah,
not like a
man.
place that they force you into. It's a place that you willingly choose to go, you know?
Yes.
So let's talk about the concept of being marriage material. What makes someone the marrying
Ooh.
kind? What does that look like for you?
Well, Tika, if you look at me, you
Period.
basically get your.
There's the
Have
answer
you
right
seen
there.
me? Oh, but
Real.
anyways, no, for real. But anyways, all right. So, what is marriage material though? So first of all, you have to know the difference between when you go around and when
Hmm.
you're around your man.
Okay,
Okay,
elaborate. What do you mean?
meaning, so you have to put yourself out there. You basically, when you're single, you're basically marketing yourself.
Okay.
So you can't be looking for a husband and bring yourself a certain way. You
Meaning
understand?
you dress
Meaning how
scantily
you
clad.
dress,
Okay.
hmm how you
You,
dress, how
you
you walk, how you
you know
speak.
you want to know what's
Huh?
funny? Like, don't lose your train of thought because I'm gonna circle back to that. But it's so funny because sometimes men will see a woman who's like really sexy and dressed really well and knows how to carry herself with confidence and has like this seductive
Uh-huh.
aura, and he's attracted to that. And he doesn't have a problem with it. And then he
Uh-huh.
dates her and enters in a relationship with her, knowing fully who she is.
Uh-huh.
But then at some point, he wants to change her and make her like wear frumpy dresses and not wear makeup and the wig. So it's just, what
Not
does
go
it?
work.
It and it's so funny because it's like there are two possible solutions to that. Not solutions, but two possible outcomes to that. He will either change her or and then when she accepts being changed, he will be unfaithful and go back to a girl who wears scantily clad outfits and dresses sexy. And
Yeah,
so it's like,
yeah.
what was that even about? You know? And the alternative is, he will try to change her and she's going to resist.
Uh-huh.
And, she's going to find a man who accepts her completely as she is. So I don't know about the whole scantily clad thing and I don't know, but elaborate.
And
Continue.
both of those that you just said is just a recipe for disaster. Because if he's gonna try and change you,
Hmm.
just go, just
Right,
go.
right.
Don't bother, don't rebel. Because if he accept you as how you are, as how he met you, he should just accept you and
Hmm.
not try to change who you are because you
Agreed.
met me like this, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
then you know what? As you mentioned, them go road and them see the same type of women and they
Hmm.
pursue the same type of women.
There we go. There we
You
go.
understand? It just
There we
don't make
go.
no sense. It
Or
just
that's the
don't
thing.
make
Or
sense.
like he will want a woman who is quote unquote a good girl, whatever that means. And he'll marry her, but on the side, he will have like, a bad bitch, like a side chick.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's like, what does it mean that like he wants a good girl to marry, but on the side, he won't commit to a bad bitch, but he'll fuck her. Why is that?
Men like to chase.
Mm-hmm.
They like the excitement.
Right.
So for them, I think it's just an excitement thing. They
Mm-hmm.
love the attention from that they get from that, knowing
They're
that
just
they can have.
greedy. They're just
It's
greedy.
like
They want
having
to have
best
their
of
cake and
both
eat it.
worlds. You
Yes,
understand?
exactly. I don't like it.
Best
I
of both
hate a
worlds.
greedy, hate a greedy man. But yeah,
Well,
sorry for cutting you about the whole marriage material. Like you're telling me all about what the criteria is in your opinion. So
yeah. So you have to change up your style, man. If you said you're looking for a partner, you have to put yourself out there. You have to dress well. You have to bring yourself well. You have to smell good. You have to
mm-hmm.
speak well. You to attract the type of person that you're looking for. Let me say that
Right.
because based on how you look, you attract different kind of people.
I
Based
agree.
on the places you go, you attract a certain kind of people.
I
Like
agree.
they say, if you hang out where if you hang out with the cool kid, then you attract those kind of people.
Right.
That's an
It-
example.
I get
So
it. Like
yeah,
you can't expect to find your husband at an orgy or, at like a strip club.
exactly, exactly.
I understand exactly what
But
you
if
mean.
that's what you want, you go there to attract that kind of crowd.
Right. And I feel as if basically when you're not trying, that's when you attract people. You know what I mean? Like if you're
Mhm.
actively looking, that's when you encounter a lot of like resistance. But when you actually like focus on yourself and like living your
Mhm.
best life and like taking care of, your mind, body, and spirit, people
Mhm.
gravitate towards that, you know?
The
I'm
energy.
yeah, I'm beginning to notice. But in terms of the whole like wife material thing, which you consider, like you just elaborated on, what does it mean about a man being husband material? Like, do you agree with the idea of like him being like a provider?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Right,
A man is supposed to be the provider. Just
right.
like in the household, the father is supposed to be the provider. He's supposed to be the the person that the kids can look up to. The father
Mm-hmm.
is supposed to be an example
Mm-hmm.
of what your husband is supposed to be. If you
So
understand what I'm
no,
saying.
I do.
Hmm.
I agree. I'm just
Yeah.
curious if you also think women can be providers as well, or is that like do you
Well,
all right? The reason I ask is because I'm curious if only a man can be a provider in a relationship and the woman
mhm.
becomes like a stay-at-home wife, stay-at-home mom, or can both of them be the breadwinner? You know what I mean?
um, That's a decision that the couple would make, that is subjective to them. A woman can be the provider, of course. I don't think she should be the sole
Whole provider,
provider.
right?
Yeah, in my opinion, I think the man should be the sole provider. The woman,
Right,
for real, I think once he's capable of doing it, he
right,
should.
right.
Like if I want to provide as well, that's supposed to be my choice.
Of course, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah,
Like,
but the men should be the provider.
right. Like also, basically, marriage material would be like having money, stability, and the ability to lift heavy things. Like you want a man who
Um,
can like fix a sink. Like you want like
Look here.
a handyman.
Let me tell you this. You see, if I have a man, I'ma call you. I'ma say you can come. Say something upon the car want fix, right?
Right.
I'ma say, baby, you can come change the battery for me.
Mm-hmm.
One of my biggest turn off,
Right.
like if you say,
But no, no, oh.
you can't do it, but yeah, we give you the money for you to do it. Like,
Wait. No,
thanks, but
I
no
wouldn't mind the
thanks.
money. Give me the money.
No,
Sure.
you,
I'll hire someone
I
who's competent.
want you to fix it. I want you to fix it.
What if he's
Like for
busy?
me, that
What
is
if he's busy?
no, no. You see, for me, that is sexy. Like
Oh,
when
okay. Like
when
drop everything and do it for yeah, drop everything you do it and run.
no, we don't mean you for drop everything, but you're
Mm.
supposed to can do certain things where a man is expected to do. You
I understand.
understand?
Like acts of service is your love language, basically.
Yes.
Mhm.
So like if someone want nail up me and said you can fix this to me, you can fix that to
Or
me. You're supposed to can help me.
or not even have to ask. Like he just does it. You know what I mean?
Even
Like
better.
I
Even
love I
better.
love when a partner is able to like anticipate your needs in advance and does things like, for instance, breakfast in bed. Like you're sleeping and you wake up and like a meal is prepared for you. Like that's so thoughtful and generous. You know what I mean?
It's half of, them some of the I just want to sit on TV, man, and tell no lie.
Real, it's real
Yeah,
because my dad, bless him, love him to death. Like he does that every single day for my mom and
he
like us.
does.
He does. I love that man. And so it's like I really mold a lot
Aw.
of like my aspirations in terms of like my future partner and like what I grew up with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you see,
But
you see what I'm talking about now? The
mhm,
dad should be an
right.
example.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. But also it's kind of like a double-edged sword because if that's the expectation where like a man should do all of that things, it comes back to pressure. Because it's like, how do we ever stop to ask them like, how are you feeling, babe? Are you all right? Like it's
Of
like, no, it's
course.
okay,
Yes,
cool.
of course, of course.
Because it's like,
I'm very thoughtful.
oh, good, good. Because it's like some people expect men to be Superman and do
No,
everything.
no, no.
Right.
I
And
like when I can talk to my spouse and he
of
can
course,
talk to me about anything. Men not really like say open
open
up,
up.
but
Right.
they can they want to be heard too,
Yeah,
and I
for
think
sure.
that's very important.
How do you feel about the idea of like making a man feel like a king? Because that's something that I find a lot of people when they're talking about like wifey or wife material, it's like you have to be good at cooking and cleaning and making a man feel like a king and basically being like a 1950s housewife with the Instagram body aesthetic. Like, is that something
Um,
that you see yourself doing like ticking all of those boxes? Like
Making me
Alexa,
feel
play Cater to You
like
by Destiny's Child. Like, are you one of those person?
first of all,
Like me?
does he make me feel like a queen?
Ooh, that's a good one. I love
Like,
that.
me tell
I
you,
love that.
look here, sometimes I have to give a certain kind of energy, you have to get it.
Yep.
You understand?
Reciprocity. Yeah.
You cannot expect a
Reciprocity.
certain treatment if
Mm-hmm.
you're not giving it,
Mm-hmm.
right? In
Right.
terms of the wash, cook,
You
and
know,
clean.
it's so
Mhm.
funny because like yesterday, one of my friends posted this status and they're like, they said something like never make a dish towel feel like a tablecloth. And I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
interesting. So
Hmm.
a lot of the times we do give husband treatment to some of these casual
To
hookups and
boyfriends.
to boyfriends, and it's just like, are they
Yeah.
deserving of it? Do they
No, they're
deserve
not because them still are gonna move on. This
it?
this might not be what they want still, but them are
Right.
gonna take it. You think them not gonna take it?
Of course they're gonna take it. And it's
Okay.
basically like you're building this man up to be the ideal
Hmm.
and then like he's someone else's, you
To be
know?
the idea for someone else, exactly.
Right.
But I
But
mean, as I said, once we have a mutual understanding, you
hmm
treat me how I want to be treated, how I deserve to be treated, then
hmm
me will treat you, me will treat you good too.
I agree. I'm the same way. And you know, it's
Hmm.
like it's funny because sometimes the expectations for women are higher than they are for men. Sometimes because, for example, the only expectation women will have for their partner is like, as long as he has a stable job and he isn't cheating on me, that's enough.
Oh no.
That's enough.
Oh
That's enough.
no.
But
No.
but yeah, it's like that's enough for them. But the woman has to be able to cook. She has to be able to clean. She has to be loyal. She has to be submissive. She has to be independent, but not too independent. She has to be fun, but not too fun. She has to be sexy, but only for her man. Like
Hmm.
it's crazy. It's a lot. It is a lot. But for me, I feel like marriage material should mean someone who is emotionally mature, someone
Yep.
communicates well, and most importantly, doesn't make you want to fake your own death to get out of that relationship there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I do.
like I feel like beyond the honeymoon phase, like marriage is such an important thing. Like, if I'm gonna spend my life with you, I better enjoy just sitting in silence with you doing
Mhm.
nothing
Mhm.
forever. We don't
And
have to do
still enjoy
anything.
the moment, right?
Yeah, let's just sit and vibe. let's just chill. But also, I want to do everything. I want to feel comfortable to do everything under the sun as well. Like we should
Mm-hmm.
be able to
You
just
know, you don't just have a
fine.
vibes like
Exactly.
that's my person.
Right. But yeah, speaking of the whole marriage material thing, you want to know
Mm-hmm.
what phrase haunts my soul? Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Like that one in particular really, I don't know, it does
It
something to me.
triggers you.
It triggers me because it's something I can relate to because I've had interactions with people where
Mm-hmm.
even though I know I'm better than the rest, they would make me
Mm-hmm.
feel like I was second best.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that feeling because it's something that I struggle with. Like, I hate that I'm always like carving myself hollow, trying to make space for people who don't appreciate my efforts or barely acknowledge my efforts
Tell
or
me
let
about it.
or don't even make time for me when I need them the most, but you want them to. So I'm curious
You
if
hit
you've
the
ever
nail on the head right there, so. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And I'm curious if you've ever like had to like struggle with that or if you identify with that phrase. Because me specifically, like I hate my tendency to go above and beyond, even when I'm given the bare minimum from men. Like I
I
hate that I do that.
I
And
think
yeah, go
continue.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I think for me that it just comes naturally. Like I'm always the
Giving.
person that wants to, yeah, that wants to give, that wants to make sure that everybody or
Hmm.
that person is okay, that I'm doing what I have to do to make sure that the relationship stand up. You understand?
Right. And it's
And
funny because they don't even have to ask, you just naturally do it.
yeah, you do any, well, almost anything
Almost
for that
anything.
person, not anything.
Well,
But you know, you're there for the person. If you
exactly.
call me did that, you understand?
Exactly.
But then
Like
you realize,
it's not
it,
reciprocated.
yeah, you
I
don't get
know.
that back, and that hurts. And this is where you find like a lot of people when they experience something like that, they don't bother want to go on that road again.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
understand?
Especially when the person that they're willing to give their all to, that person ends up with someone who don't try as hard
Yeah,
or don't put in the same amount of effort.
and
And
that's a
it's
slap
like
in the face.
it's like what the fuck? It really does something to you, and that's why I'm triggered because I wish I didn't feel like the only way to get someone to like love me is if I bleed myself dry trying to prove I'm worthy of love. Because it's like, why do I have to
Mhm,
prove anything? Like,
mhm.
why? You know? Like it kind of feel like you have to jump through hoops, kind of. But I don't know. It's like I would love the idea of being a bridesmaid. So it's like, even though the phrase itself, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, triggers me, I still would love the idea of like being a maid of honor of like my best friend's wedding, for example. Like, shout out to all the girlies who have 7 bridesmaid dresses in their closet, but no engagement ring. Like, I see you.
Your day will come,
Yeah,
right?
your day will come. Like, do you feel like a bridesmaid, never the bride? Like, is that something that you think about? Like, do you
Yeah,
identify with that?
after doing some reflection on my life
Mm-hmm.
and on my relationships,
Yeah.
yes.
Mm.
Um, yeah, cause you realize that, cause you know sometimes you look for yourself and like, but nothing wrong with me.
Exact. Literally,
Nothing
nothing is
wrong
wrong
with
with us.
me. The tree not growing on my face. Like,
I know.
me's a nice person. You know,
You
everybody gonna say them
are.
nice, but
You
thank you.
are. And you're beautiful. You're gorgeous. And you're smart and you're capable. And
Uh-huh.
you're obviously marriage material. So it's like, what the fuck? But it's like sometimes you have to realize that it's like, maybe these people don't deserve you, you know?
And you know,
Like,
Tika, experience really does teach wisdom
it
because
does.
from your relationships in the past, you get to learn a certain things. You get to understand that, look here, that man wanted you. There's nothing in this world
That would stop him
that would
from,
stop him from being with
I
you.
agree. If he
There is
wanted to, he
no,
would.
there's nothing that is more important than being with you. You
Right,
understand?
right.
Nothing else will come in them way
Yeah.
if you
And it's,
want to be with you.
yeah, and we have this saying here in Jamaica, what feel can't unfeel. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I really learned that because it's like sometimes when things don't work out with someone, I thank God because you
Yeah,
don't really know what God protecting you from. You know what I mean? Like
that is true.
you end up with this person and it's just bare stress, bare problem. And it's like the fact that you guys aren't together is probably a blessing in disguise.
It
So
is.
I'm grateful for, the rejection and, not be because sometimes I look back at the people that I used to like mad over and it's like looking back, I'm like, what the it's just some
True.
guy.
That is so true.
Just
That is
some
so true.
guy.
You wonder, wait, what was I
What
thinking?
was I thinking? But I
And
guess if
then,
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was saying like I don't know if it's like some hormonal problem, but like when I really look back on it, I'm like, why? What was wrong with you?
I guess we
You know,
just
like you attack
wanted
yourself in the mirror. Like,
exactly. But I guess
really?
I don't know if it's desperate for love, but it's just more of like we just
Oh,
want someone to appreciate us for who we are because we know that we have so much love to give and
mm-hmm.
we just want to love and be loved in return. And that's not too much to ask, but sometimes we chase things without realizing that if you stand still, the things that
It
you're
will come
chasing
to you.
they'll come to you. You don't have
Yeah.
to run, you don't have to chase, you don't have to perform. But as you said, experience teaches you those things. And
Mm-hmm.
to be young and naive is a blessing as well. Because
Yeah.
can you imagine being old and making these same like
Boy.
mistakes? Oh my God. But we listen and we don't judge. But
Listen, exactly.
speaking of, I'm curious about like relationship red flags, especially before marriage, because some people will like get married to somebody
Mm-hmm.
and that person that they're married to completely ruins their life because either like they ignored certain red flags in the beginning or they thought, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this person will change. Oh, this person would never do me that. But
Mm-hmm.
they end up doing you that, sometimes even worse.
You know them
So
say a leopard never change him spots.
there we go. There we
Okay.
go. So I'm curious,
Leopard.
like, what should people be looking out for before they sign their lives away? Like, what are some red flags for you that, first of all, you won't tolerate, you won't negotiate with? As soon as you see it, you're bouncing, you're grabbing your purse and leaving the restaurant. Like, what?
So
Yeah,
a few things. So I will not tolerate a man that is abusive. And
right.
when I say abusive, it doesn't necessarily have to be like physical abuse, like he's beating you and
Mm,
stuff, right?
emotional
But
as well.
yeah, all of them
Mm-hmm.
emotionally,
Right.
physically, mentally.
When I say a
Um,
little box up here and there isn't nice in bed, but like let's not little box up, little slap up. Yes, yes, thank you. But not outside of the context of the
not in
bedroom.
the streets.
Not in the streets. In the bedroom, like choke me, spank me, slap me, spitting on my face. But outside of the don't.
Yeah, you have to be so you have to be cautious when it comes down to little things. So
Mm,
when you see a partner doing certain things, you
mm.
have to take it into consideration. You can't be making excuses for the person. Oh,
People show you who
I, I
they are,
just
believe
I
them.
just treat exactly. Oh, I just dream upset about
Nope.
something. Oh, it
Mm-mm.
never really mean it, you know.
He did
You
mean it.
can't make and I'm a live for learn that me I tell you
Hmm.
honestly me live for learn that
Right.
because for me like I always I give people the benefit of the doubt.
For sure.
Like many if I change up about myself I realize that
Hmm.
that's one of my
But
downfall.
But you want to know what's funny? Because it's like I don't think that's like necessarily a bad thing because I can relate to that. For me,
Mm-hmm,
I like to give like trust people until they give me a reason not to, which I
mm-hmm.
guess comes off as naive, but I just am that person where it's just like
You're being fair
I
basically.
being fair, right? And I want people to give me that same courtesy. So that's why I'm like that. But I can see how that can like put us in like hot water.
Yeah, yeah. As
But
I
yeah.
said, people they should believe who they are when they show you.
Yep, yep,
Don't
yep.
believe that you can change them or anything. The moment they realize that you're gonna take the bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
they
Yeah,
know how to operate
thank
with
you. I
you.
was just about to say that because, for example, if
Yeah.
your partner is like unfaithful for the first time and you take them
Mhm.
back, that's going to be a very dangerous decision
It is very
because
dangerous.
it's going to give them the go ahead to do it again. And they know that you'll take them back. And it's not to say that people don't make mistakes and it's not to say that people don't change. But honestly, it's like, I don't know. Like, for example, like I'm thinking about my parents who have been married for like years, like decades. And it's like, I have half siblings from like my dad having like outside relations with my mom,
Mhm.
with people who weren't my mom. And it's just like, one time is like, you can understand a slip up one time. But three kids outside of marriage, come
Wow.
on, come on.
That's a whole family.
Listen, so that's what I mean when I say that, like, if you take them back the first time, they're going to do it again because what
Mhm.
are you going to do? And
Like,
the worst thing is to be like dependent on a man financially because if you feel like you don't have enough money to leave, you're gonna feel trapped and
you're
stuck.
gonna stay, yeah.
And so
Where
you're
you
going to
live.
tolerate the abuse or tolerate the disrespect or
Mhm.
tolerate the cheating because you don't have any options. So it
You know,
goes,
that one time, sorry,
no, go ahead.
I saw a man said, you have to let that person respect your absence.
Yes.
Like, you have to make them respect you not being there, because the moment they realize, like, oh yeah, I do that, but she gonna come home anyways, or
Right.
she gonna talk to me anyways. She not going nowhere. She not left.
Right.
The
True.
moment he starts to speak like that, him lose all respect for you.
Exactly.
The game is over for you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
And something I've been learning is don't make nobody treat you like bread back. You know how
Yeah,
opening a bag of bread, you never eat the first slice? Because it's just, I don't know, nobody
yeah.
eats.
When we tell her, yeah, if I do eat the bread back, I want the bread done completely,
Last option,
and you
last
not have
resort,
no
nothing else.
choice.
No choice, but don't make anybody treat you like bread bar. Listen, another red flag is, for like if they can't communicate, run. Like if they can't
Mhm,
like
mhm.
talk about their feelings or they
I
shut
have that on
down.
my list, Tico.
Yes.
Yes.
Like nothing I hate more than when you have a conversation with somebody and maybe the conversation a little bit difficult, but them emotionally shut down, like they don't want to talk,
Mhm.
they don't want to share, they don't want to open up. Like I hate that. Like I
It
get it, some things are rough, but if we say we're a couple, we should be adult enough to
Yeah, you're
say
supposed to can sit down and reason
thank you.
when
Or
you don't
else
want
what
to
are we
listen.
doing? What are we doing? Or not even that.
Exactly.
Like somebody who can't use their words and their first resort when confronted is to get angry or violent.
Or
Like
leave.
or leave,
Because
leave the
people
room.
think that they're being the bigger person when you take with yourself out of the situation. No, you're not.
It depends.
Let's
It
let's
depends on the
talk about
context.
it.
Like if the person that you're having a conversation with like isn't hearing what you're saying and they're just, lashing out, then you have permission to leave the room because they're not engaging with
Hmm.
you on a level playing field. But if as soon as you
Oh
bring
no, not
something
in
up,
that case.
yeah, but if as soon as you bring something up, the person is like, no one deal with this right now and walk out,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
that's something
Mm-hmm.
different. And
Mm-hmm.
I think jealousy. I don't think jealousy is cute. I
Oh my
mean,
gosh, why do you? I
you
talk
had
about
that.
this. Yes,
You see, this is
yes.
why we're friends. Like we see each other. Like, don't get me
Jealous
wrong. I
and
can admit that. So,
insecure. Oh my
hmm?
gosh. I'm saying jealous and insecure.
Oh my
Oh,
God. It's such a turn off. It's such a
I
turn
think
off.
that's one of the biggest ones.
Mm-hmm. Like, I understand that we're human, and I can admit sometimes I get jealous. Like, it's a human
Mm-hmm.
emotion. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
like like threatened all the time, or if your partner, girlfriend, boyfriend talks to somebody of the same
Uh-huh.
sex, or even opposite sex, and
Yeah,
you're feel some type of way about that, that's a red flag for me. Because why are you?
instantly.
Yeah, I feel like you should be secure enough in yourself to
Secure
know,
and confident.
yes, because the implication is if you feel some type of way by your partner talking to somebody else, you're thinking they're probably going to leave. And then if you think about that constantly, it's going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And
Yeah.
eventually the person is going to
Is
leave, you know
going
what I
to
mean?
leave, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, see, I didn't know." No, it
Exactly.
didn't. You caused this to
You
happen.
caused it. You caused it to happen. Like, you know what I hate? I hate when a partner accuses you of things that you're not doing, but they really do it to the point where you start thinking to yourself, okay, they already think I'm doing it, might as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
and I feel like I'm at an age now where if you come to me with something like that, it's like my God just ask you to just go on because I'm not in the
the mind
I'm
games.
not in the foolishness with you.
I know it's
You
very
have
childish.
a
It's very
childish
juvenile.
mentality.
Yeah. And it's like, it's very
Mhm.
high school. It's
It's
very,
too,
I
like I
don't
don't have
know.
the time for the games.
We're
Like
too grown for it. We're too grown
no,
for it. But something I've come to realize is like if somebody's accusing you of something, it's probably because they're projecting and they're doing those things,
Mhm.
but they're trying to deflect attention off of you them. So they're blaming you for things that they're guilty of.
And they have
So
some people take it really serious, you know. Like
mm,
I never see I don't know, but I don't
th-
know if it's their mind tell them or
right.
what,
They had
but
a
it's
dream. They had a
I had a
dream.
dream.
Or
So
just a
actually,
feeling with
mm-hmm.
but
Actually,
it's
insecurity and jealousy, Tico.
it does. It does. And I don't like that. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we live
And
in a oh go ahead.
you shouldn't be around a partner and feel like you have to walk on eggshell. You understand?
There we
You
go.
have
Like
to
you
look
should be
over your
comfortable.
shoulder. Oh, a man say, "Hey, I like your dress," and you have to look if him a look
Right.
because you can't just casually talk to somebody.
I know.
Like it's not supposed to be like that.
It's not. The worst thing is like you're with somebody and as soon as they enter the room, the atmosphere changes and things just become
Yeah.
tense or like
Mm-hmm.
you're stressed out. Like that's a sign of an unhealthy
A
relationship.
foundation for disaster.
Recipe for disaster. Another red flag I feel is like, what? What? Eh?
No, it's Mr. Foundation.
No, that's it's okay. It's an
It's the same
unstable
thing, right?
right. No, it's an unstable foundation for real. Like you have to build your relationship on stable ground. And
Yes.
if you can't trust your
True.
partner, what are you doing? You know, if you're suspicious of everything they're doing, like what? It doesn't make any sense. And I think another red flag is like if they have no emotional intelligence, like if they can't empathize
Mm-hmm.
with you if you're going through a hard time. If you say to your partner, you know, babe, I'm sad. The person don't ask you why. They don't care about why you're sad. They're just like, oh, like,
Yeah.
oh, or oh, like, okay,
Okay.
you're not going to
Or
probe. Like, what? Like, they don't want to like know how you're feeling.
or
They
that
don't.
makes two of us.
They're not concerned. Like, I don't like that. Like,
Yeah. Like,
it's
will you leave me for the after this?
exactly.
Because you're supposed to be able to vent with your
Yeah.
partner. I mean, you're not throwing down everything on
Yeah, you
them,
don't need to trauma
but
dump every day because that weighs a lot on a
mhm.
person. But be
And
considerate.
sometimes they're probably not looking for advice, but you just want somebody to talk.
Listen, exactly. Somebody to
Just want
listen,
to
somebody to
talk.
talk to. Agreed.
Yes.
Like, also, another red flag, someone who doesn't take accountability. Like, if they do something wrong, they'll never say, oh, right, I'm sorry I did that. Or I'll do my best to not do it again. They're like,
Yeah. Yeah. I've been around persons like that before.
mm-hmm.
They're never wrong. And if
Never
you
wrong. Take
think
God
that
off of
you
the
are
cross. I
never
never do
wrong,
that.
then something is wrong with
There,
you.
I love that. That
Hmm.
say that again for the listeners. If you're never wrong,
If you're never wrong, something is wrong with you. Yeah.
preach, preach, preach. Like also when people are rude to service people, like if you go to
Oh,
a
that's a
restaurant,
big turn off.
like rude to service people, just rude to people in general. Like
Hmm.
you can tell how someone really is when they
Yeah.
by how they act around people who they perceive to be less than them or people that can't do anything for them. Like
And knowing me, we put in a place for the person,
of course,
the person we don't know from nowhere because how dare you disrespect that person? That could have been me. Would you like somebody to talk to me or deal with me like that?
exactly. Like it doesn't
You
make
have to
sense
put
where
yourself in the situation.
yeah, it doesn't make sense where like you're only nice to me but you're awful to
Yeah,
everybody else. Like no, be
that,
kind
that's
all the
not a
time.
good characteristic.
Not at all. But you want to know one of the biggest red flags? I hate when someone is like, let's see where this goes.
Oh
Like,
my God, that is all right. Let me tell you,
mm,
if that all right. So the fact that that come up, it
mm,
means that you would have want more. And if them tell you
yep.
that,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
go
Let's see
leave,
where this goes. Like,
cause it now go nowhere.
no, as girl, can you imagine if like they say, let's see where this goes, and 5 years later, maybe it's going nowhere. Nowhere. Like, I feel like there should be intentionality. Like, don't just date to date. Don't
Just
just
me feel like say you just a true word for me, do me nonsense, no
me?
like.
Why? Why do you say
Yes,
that? What do you mean?
because me no know that hit me hard a while ago.
I,
It
you
hit
feel
me.
seen. I'm glad I make you feel. This is why we're friends. Like I see you,
It
girl. You
hit
see
me.
me. Yeah, but I just hate that people enter into these relationships without actually interrogating what they're looking for. They're not interrogating what they have to offer this person, and it has nothing to do with like how much money you have in your account, but
Mhm.
how are you showing up for this person? How are you making space for this person? What are you doing to make this person feel appreciated? What are you doing to make this person feel like, okay, you're adding meaningful value to my life, you're
Mhm.
improving my situation? People just fall into these relationships like recklessly. It's reckless.
Situationship.
Situationships, hookups, casual flings, and it's like, I'm not saying that if that's your cup of tea, that there's anything wrong with that. But it's
Yeah,
just
there's
like,
a difference.
yeah, but there's just something very cold and callous about people playing with people's feelings, where it's just like it's like
Yeah,
a
right
game
from the
to
get
them.
go, like you have to speak. You have to be clear.
Right,
We're not gonna wait until after 4 or 5 years. You tell me, say,
right,
I never know a relationship I did once. You
right.
know, I just
Like,
should I go with the flow.
like,
I
can you
just should I go
imagine?
with the flow.
Can you imagine like you have this like dating profile bio, like listing out everything you're looking for, and then somebody will ask you what you're looking for. Like, bitch, can you not fucking read? Like, like I just boils my blood, boils my blood.
Oh
But
my
I
god.
guess that's just the culture that we live in, where it's like people don't really have these kind of deep conversations, not just with other people, but with themselves. They don't really question what they want. They just
Hmm.
go with the flow. And it's not fair because you yourself could be looking for something serious, and then somebody just comes along to waste your time. And it's just like,
Hmm.
is there a sign that we're walking around on our foreheads where it's just like, please waste my time? Like, I'd love to know. Because
Then, like, the
what is
mistake
it?
that I'm not going to make is to
Mm,
not be clear with you. I'm not go shy for talk.
yes. Hmm.
You have to speak up. If you're not talk, nobody not go can read your mind.
Exactly. Closed mouths don't get fed, for sure.
Hmm.
For sure.
So that's a
And
mistake I wouldn't make again.
right. And also, if they think compromise means you always giving in and they are not willing to compromise themselves, like with their, like, for example, if they feel like you always have to change something about what you're doing or what you want, but
Hmm.
they have to always get what they want, that's a red flag, I feel like. You know what I mean?
Big
Like,
red flag.
yeah, you have to be able to do this like dance with your partner where it's like both of you are
In
like
sync.
yeah, in sync. And I feel like a lot of people aren't willing to be inconvenienced. You know what I mean? Like
True.
they aren't willing to have those moments where they're like uncomfortable a little bit.
True.
Not to say that you need to be uncomfortable all the time, but be willing to,
To come out of your shell.
yeah, not just come out of your shell, but be willing to not have everything go your way. You know what I mean? You can't always be
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
control. You can't always be in control. So I feel like that's a red flag. And one last one I'd say is like if they have like a history of cheating and you think marriage will magically change them, it won't. Like
Look here.
it won't.
First
If
of all, if you
uh,
even hear him utter mode say, "Oh, sometimes you have to just listen. Him we attack on him friend them and you will hear, oh, every man
mhm,
cheat.
yeah,
If you hear that,
run,
that's
run.
basically including him,
I know.
right?
Especially him. Like I
Especially.
I can't even begin to tell you how many married men want a piece of this. Like it's just like not to say that like I regrettably I have hooked up with a couple, but sometimes it's after the fact that I find out because it's just
Uh-huh.
like we'll be hooking up and then their phone rings and like out of the corner of my eye I'm peeking and then on the phone
Mm-hmm.
it's like wife and I'm just
Ah!
like Jesus Christ. Jesus, Jesus. Like
Too late to turn back.
but it's too late. You know what I mean? It's too late at that point. But it's just like they have no shame. They have no conscience. Like I feel like a lot of people think that, oh, if you get married, your man will never,
Like he's
cheat.
your man.
He like, that it's just sometimes it just is a ring that he just happens to have on. Like it's not fair, it's not nice, but sometimes they just treat it like an extra accessory and they don't take the
Mm-hmm.
commitment seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate because marriage is more than just a piece of paper. But a lot of people treat it like that. But speaking of the commitment, how do you feel about vows? The whole in sickness and in health thing.
Um, I think it's fair in
Mm-hmm.
terms of because when you get married to the person, you shouldn't be thinking about divorce per se.
Mm-hmm.
So you should be with that person no matter what happened. And I think a lot of people are not. They say it and they hear it, but they're not actually ready
Believing
for
what
it. They
they're
don't. They
saying.
don't know what they're getting themselves into, or
Right.
believe it rather.
Or
That
it's just
yeah,
something that they think they're supposed to say, you know?
yeah.
Like
But
it's not something that they actually really
uh
took into
huh.
consideration. But I don't know. For me, it's like vows aren't just some cute Instagram caption. Like vows mean something, or they should for me. And personally, like I take them very seriously. Like if I get
Uh huh.
married, I'm in it for the long haul. Like no divorce, ride or die. But
Uh
it's funny because given my track record, like I've quit more jobs more than I can count. I've ended every relationship I've ever been in. So statistically speaking, I'm more likely to have three divorces than one marriage. But I want to be a devoted spouse. I want to. But the
You
truth is,
want to?
I want to, and that should count for something. But the truth is, I'll probably be filing for divorce after 3 business days. Like, let's be real.
Oh
But
my gosh.
I like the actual vows. Like, I love the whole, like, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and health, to love
Are
and
you
to
supposed to
cherish.
mean it?
I
People
mean
don't
it till
mean it,
death do us
People don't
part.
mean it. It's
To,
like when people say, "Oh, I love you."
oh,
Like, don't
God,
tell.
girl.
Look here, don't tell
I,
me that. Cause me I gonna ask you why.
that,
And if you
are you
can't
me?
answer why,
Exactly. I
we're
want to know
twinning.
why. Like,
No.
honestly, I've dated people who like we've talked for like 3 days and they're like, I love you. And I'm just like, oh,
Uh-huh.
okay. Thank you. Why? Why?
Yeah,
You know?
because I can say that and I don't mean it. But
Exactly.
if I'm gonna say that to you, like, am I supposed to can answer why I love you?
Exactly. People, and that's one thing I hate about modern dating. People tell you what they
What you
think you want
want
to.
to hear?
Yeah. And it's like, it's, they really aren't serious about anything. About anything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they're not serious about you as a person. They're not serious about the words that come out of their mouth. They're not serious about, like, the commitment. And it's just like, what are we doing? What are we
Mm-hmm.
doing?
We're
Like,
just going with the flow, as they would say.
going going with the flow. But I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, like I want my marriage to last for real. But sometimes not all marriages last, and that's okay. Sometimes people meet someone and they fall in love and they grow apart. Maybe you get married to somebody you thought you loved, but your priorities
Mm-hmm.
shifted. Maybe they turn out to be abusive. These are all like grounds for
Yeah,
divorce, you know
yeah.
what I mean? But I think people take marriage too lightly. You know what I mean? Like I don't think
Mm-hmm.
they take it as seriously as they should. Like you're not just agreeing to split rent, you're committing your entire life to this person, and that should be a
Yeah.
serious decision. And like we
You know,
said,
another thing,
mm-hmm.
continue.
No, sorry, I was just going to say people care more about the wedding than the marriage, like we talked about. But what were you going to say?
I was gonna say, like, you have people who they're willing to be around with everyone, but like you say, oh, you're not married and settle down now. Them say,
Mm-hmm.
no, you're mad, me not married, a serious business that. But then me I say, it
You're
never
not a serious
serious.
person. Exactly.
Like,
Like, who's going to take you seriously if you're like, running the gambit, so to speak,
yeah.
But it's
And
not
you
to say
find it
that,
so easy for run around, but
right. But also, that is not to say that, like, someone who's promiscuous isn't worthy of being married. Like, like,
no,
just
no.
because you have a lot of sex don't mean that somebody won't put a ring on it. There's this saying, like, you can't make a hooker a housewife, but who's to say? Who's to say? Like, you can be both. But
You can
you're
be
so,
both, of course.
yeah. But yeah, I just feel like, as we said, people aren't really serious people. They aren't. They really aren't. But at the end of the day, marriage isn't for everybody. Like, some people thrive in it, some people don't need it, and some people are just here for the wedding cake, to be honest. Like,
Yeah, for some people it's neither here nor there.
right. So you have to look into yourself and ask yourself, like, what is this? What do I want? Like, what am I actually looking for? Like, am I
Mm-hmm.
dating to marry? Am I just casually dating? Like, what's the
Mm-hmm.
end goal? But final thoughts. Do you think marriage is overrated or underrated? Because I feel like for me, I think it's what you make it. Like, if you're going with it with the right mindset, with the right person, it can be beautiful. But if you're just doing it for the aesthetic or because you feel pressured, good luck, babe. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. But
I would say neither. It's
hmm,
um
I didn't even know that was an option.
basically
You shocked me there. It's neither overrated or
what
underrated.
you want. But
Mm-hmm.
when I hear people say, "Oh, you know what? Let me not even say that because that used to be me."
Mm-hmm.
Again, your age can determine what you say, what you do, how you react to certain things. Because as I said, when I was like 22, 23, like, and you asked me, would you want to get married? It was like, no. Like,
I'm
why
the
would I
opposite. I'm like,
want
yes,
that?
I do.
And now it's like, oh, more
Right.
husband, more somebody to settle down with, and
Hmm.
you know.
Right. Right.
So it's what you make it out to be.
Right. I mean, definitely your man is out there. Like, I know that for a
Of course,
fact.
and I'm not looking. He's gonna find me.
He's gonna find you. Exactly. Like, we're speaking it into being, we're manifesting. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
wouldn't it be funny if, like, by the end of the year you're like, Chico, I'm getting married. Here's your invite. Like, wouldn't that be hilarious? I'll be like, I
Speak
knew
it
it.
into being. Speak it into
We're
being.
manifesting. But yeah, if
Mm.
you're listening and you're not ready to commit to everything, good, bad, and ugly, then I don't think marriage is for you if you're not willing to go through the ups and the downs and actually take your vow seriously. Like, marriage is a huge, huge, huge commitment, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
I think marriage is a beautiful thing. And
I do. I think
yeah,
love overall is a
it's a
beautiful thing. I
beautiful
love
thing. I
love.
love love. Girl, we're just so soft. We're softies. We're such softies. Like,
We're hopeless romantic.
hopeful romantic. I'm hopeful. Like, that's my thing. Life may be hard, but I like to stay soft. I'm just such a softie, to be honest. But
Hmm.
basically, that's all we have to talk about today on the topic of marriage. But I want to thank you so much again, Javine, for sharing your thoughts and experiences with me. I'm so grateful, and I had so much fun.
Oh, you're welcome. I had so much fun too. It's always nice talking to you.
Of course, and I look forward to having you back again on the
Of
pod.
course, of
But
course.
until then, I just want to say take care of yourself and thanks again so much. And we
Mm.
will see you next time. Bye.
All right, bye.